There is nothing to worry about. You're gonna be just fine.
You'd be surprised at the things you find when you go looking.
God, it knows I'm here.
Clear your minds. It knows what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
I'm plunging headfirst into some kind of black void of sheer, utter madness.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
It is entitled Naturan de Manto, roughly translated Book of the Dead.
You're gonna die up there.
I've got to return some videotapes.
Hey, Joe.
I'm Joe, and that's Chris.
And I'm Chris, and that's Joe. And this is In the Veins.
In the Veins. Welcome to another exciting episode where we will be discussing
part 2 of our series of horror movies in space.
Horror movies that specifically, inexplicably went to space.
Yeah. It's not just... Because, like, Event Horizon was a horror movie in space. Alien is a horror movie in space.
Right.
These are horror movies.
Horror.
These are, like, down-the-chain sequels.
Yes.
Franchise horror movies who eventually decided, fuck it, let's go to space.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? This time we are talking about Hellraiser Bloodline.
Hellraiser Part 4, Bloodlines. And we mentioned this at the end of the last one, but it still blows me away that Hellraiser 4 and Leprechaun 4 both go to space, both come out in 1996.
It's wild. Hellraiser, technically, legally, it doesn't get the Part 4 added on to its title. It's one of those ones where they're like trying to disown them. Like
they never do, though. It's Hellraiser Judgment, Hellraiser Deader. Well, only the second one is Hellraiser 2.
I do think that there's a certain thing about like that time in the mid '90s, and certainly we're going to get into this of like franchise exhaustion. So we don't want people to feel like, oh well, I can't go and see that movie because I haven't seen the other 3 of them or whatever, you know. And also people are pretty tired of seeing the same franchises pop up again where they're like, Hellraiser Bloodline, is that a new one? I don't know.
Well, and
it also doesn't have any connection like beyond the universe it exists in to the previous films.
No, the first 2 movies were connected. I can't remember what the third one was. I haven't seen it in forever.
It's been so long since I saw the third one.
But everything after it is just another story with Cenobites and a lament configuration. Like
this is true.
But
this one came out in
This was like the other thing about like the titles being they're a little fancier. Clive Barker's behind all this, and he's like,
yes.
He's a legit talent. Like, he's good at stuff. And
he's
artistic, and he has passion and vision. And I could see it being part of his influence.
Sure, but what's interesting to me is that he's not credited as a writer on this. You would think that he would at least get, like, you know, based on characters created by. He's an executive producer.
Yeah. Well, and he did help come up with the story. He and another guy.
Right. But he doesn't get a
general story, yeah.
But he doesn't get, like, a credit for it, you know?
No, that's true.
Which is an unusual move in Hollywood.
Credits. I bet somewhere in there it said based on characters.
I don't know. It's technically... it's March 8th, 1996, if you want to be particular. It's directed by Kevin Yeager. It is credited to Alan Smithy, which is already not a great sign.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, that's the Director Guild's name that you can slap on a project you want to disown. Something that you are not proud of, you do not want to be associated with. It gets directed by Alan Smithy.
Right. Written by Peter Atkins.
Well, and I wonder if that's not like, I'm sorry I keep interrupting you.
No, it's all right.
You know, this was first off the last one that went to theaters. Yeah. Every Hellraiser after this is direct to video.
Right.
Because this one didn't do well, and there were all these production issues, and it got Alan Smithy stuck on it. I wonder if they just, Clive Barker was just like, just give me the executive producer credit.
That's not impossible.
It's also the last one that he was directly involved in outside of just being, the creator and maybe just talking to him about it. But
it's possible. Kevin Yeager, for his part, does have a pretty decent horror pedigree. Started out more as an effects guy. Mm-hmm. I believe he did stuff for... He actually has a pretty well-known effects house. He did the Child's Play, at least the early Child's Play movies. He worked, did the effects for Freddy's 2, Freddy's Revenge. KYPI, that's his effects house, and it's pretty well known in Hollywood, at least at that time period. Worked on everything from like Face Off to Starship Troopers. But directing-wise, not as many, perhaps.
He directed
credits.
2 movies.
Yes.
Like, what was it, Tales from the Dark Side? And
Yes.
this? And
Yes.
this was such a bad experience for him that he just went back to effects.
He also directed kind of all of the interstitial and essentially Crypt Keeper puppet scenes in HBO's Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, if you want your effects guy to direct that kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah. They let Rob Bottin come in and do the direct. Not Rob Bottin. It is, yeah, Rob Bottin, Howling.
Yeah, exactly.
He basically directed all the effects scenes for the Howling.
I mean, that's how that works.
Yeah.
So, budget of $4 million, gross of $9.3 million, a little north of that. That's worldwide gross, which is over budget, but they say, figure about the budget doubled for promotion, and then the theater takes their cut and all that jazz. So $9.3 million is a squeaker. It was number 5 in its opening weekend. It got beat by The Birdcage, which had just opened. Homeward Bound 2: Lost in San Francisco, which just opened. A movie called Up Close and Personal. I believe it was like a romantic drama in its second week. And Down Periscope in its second week. A slapstick comedy starring Kelsey Grammer where he's the captain of a submarine.
As far as goofy old comedies go, that one is fun. I enjoy that movie.
There's a string of kind of different military service comedies from the 90s that I enjoy, and Down Periscope is the one for the Navy for me.
Yeah. And In the Army Now, of course, for
In the Army Now, yes.
Yeah.
But it's 1996, not a huge year for horror, is the point.
Yeah. No.
And I think it's the thing is that though From Dusk Till Dawn also came out in 96.
Yeah, and From Dusk Till Dawn, and we covered it. It's a horror movie. It's a vampire movie, but
it was also very indie and didn't have expectations of greatness or anything like that.
No, but also at the time, Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino were hot, and it was a Rodriguez-Tarantino movie.
Right.
It could have been anything.
And it is definitely an action horror film.
Oh yeah. It's a western.
Right.
It's a.
The only big notable in horror that year is Scream, a movie which, it can be said, essentially shits on the slashers that come before it. Personally, I think that's hugely emblematic of the 90s, particularly the mid 90s in terms of where it was with horror, where the 90s were cynical. I've said this before, and they were deeply cynical, and it was the sort of thing where it was the brand of cynicism where it is not cool to be super excited about something.
Well, yeah, but you also in the year that Scream is big, Scream was new. Scream was reinventing a reason for us to go to the theater to watch horror movies.
Exactly.
And yeah, it shits on stuff, but it also is the original meta horror movie and whatever, but it had a lot of big actors and it was really well done. It's really slick. So when everybody's all excited about that, Hellraiser 4 stumbling in from out of nowhere.
This is what I'm saying. The franchise, it's a sign. Scream is a sign of franchise burnout, where it's we don't want the same thing that we've been fed over and over again. We don't want to go into the theater and see the same thing predictably happen. We want to shake things up. We want this meta commentary. We want something more sophisticated, more intelligent. And so this is a kind of turning point.
And it was the birth of all of those, urban legends. I Know What You Did Last Summer,
But a lot of this
wave
stuff,
of slasher.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that stuff, those slashers and stuff in the early 90s, with the rise of, the direct-to-video market and everything, they saw that kind of move towards a smaller market and lower budgets. And Scream was coming around and saying, no, this is something that can be big budget and can be successful in a big way. Mm-hmm. Don't relegate horror to the rental bin.
Right. I also think it's kind of cool that in that era, all of those movies in that era focus obviously on high school and college kids, but they also all star actors who were at that time working as high school and college age characters on television. Nev Campbell's coming from Party of Five, and in Urban Legends you've got I'm going blank. But
I know exactly who you're talking about, the red hair.
yeah, but also the dude from Dawson's Creek that wasn't Dawson. Anyway, they all had, yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got this sort of thing of like, well, we know that they can act. We've seen them act on TV, and they obviously have some appeal as far as an audience goes. So let's put them in a movie and see who shows up.
But they're also cheaper than big names, but recognizable. It was like, because horror has always been, you can put anybody in it.
Right.
It's always no names.
Right.
But this was an era where they were like, wait a second, we got people that kids will come watch.
Yes.
Like the target demographic is already watching these people on TV. So let's take what they're doing there and stab them while they're doing it.
Yeah, right. And they're not like they're TV stars, they're not movie stars, so we can stay like have a slightly lower budget and get away with it and everything. Which is awesome. All of which is to say, none of that applies to Hellraiser Bloodline.
No, that was a tangent.
This is very old guard.
that was a tangent, and
this is why
more in the future.
This is why Hellraiser Bloodline was 130th for the year. But even going through like the movies that released that year, there were not a great many horror films of note. It just wasn't. That wasn't the time period. Like I said, Scream was a real turning point where we started to understand the audience's newer generation's relationship to horror and how to appeal to that. And this is very much so, like I said, like old guard. It's the fourth one in a franchise that's been around for a little while. So let's talk. Starring Bruce Ramsey as all of the merchants. Philip, John, Paul, whatever. If his last name is Merchant, he's played by Bruce Ramsey. Valentina Vargas as Angelique. Of course, the inimitable Doug Bradley as Pinhead.
Of course.
Which I'm not sure if he's... I know in the first movie he's not credited as Pinhead because the character didn't have that name yet.
Yeah.
He's just sort of lead Cenobite. Or even like lead Hell Priest or something weird like that.
Right.
Charlotte Chatton as Guinevere. Adam Scott as Jacques.
First
you were
movie.
not hallucinating. Adam Scott gets his start in Hellraiser Bloodline.
And he's not shitty about it either. He was grateful to book a movie.
Hey, he's good at it. What the hell? Kim Myers as Bobby. Mickey Cottrell as Duke Delisle. Let's see who's also note. Cortland Mead as Jack. That is 1996 Merchant's son. Looks familiar because he was in The Little Rascals of all places. What? Yes. There's like one other movie that he was big in. Oh, there was the 1997 TV movie The Shining. He played Danny Torrance.
Okay. The one that Stephen King actually likes.
The one that Stephen King, like executive produced on and stuff, and it's closer. It swings closer to the books. It's not a bad miniseries. I mean, it's not Kubrick, you know, but it's a fun ghost story. Let's see here. There's some other people. They're in it too.
They're there. We promise.
Christine Harnos as Rimmer. There's this whole squad of pseudo-military individuals that are in the space station. We'll get
Space Marines.
Kind of. Not really specified.
But do they gear up, Joe?
They don't. They never fucking gear up.
They don't. They
What
show
kind
up
of bullshit is that?
fully geared.
Fully geared. Who does that? But you have pouches. You have to put things in the pouches. How do you know the gun is loaded even?
You can't just leave stuff in the pouches. You'll forget what's there. You got to take it out. You got to put it back in again.
How do you... they don't know how to Space Marine.
No, not at all.
It's 99% preparation, and by that I mean gearing up and putting things in pouches. So, the opening credits, we get a jarring flash image of Pinhead, just to make sure that we all are on the same fucking page here. And then the title and some simple credits over a black background.
It's kind of funny that they do that because originally part of why Yeager bailed is that his plan was to do it linear first off, and Pinhead wouldn't have showed up for 40 minutes. And the studio hated that. They wanted Pinhead in there earlier because that's the moneymaker. And so it's hilarious that in the disavowed version, the very first thing you see is a flash of Pinhead.
It is. It's ridiculous. And I'm the credits are very plain bagel. But honestly, I'm surprised there's not more weirdness over them. just because it's a Hellraiser movie. Why wouldn't there be? There's just some like it's like fantasy adventure music, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It all feels very TV movie to me.
Oh, no, this movie feels direct to video.
Yes.
100%. It makes sense that everything after it was, because this one just seems like, if I watched this movie and hadn't read any of the trivia or anything,
Right.
if I just found it and put it on, I would have assumed that this was the direct to video movie.
I mean, what would you have felt if you had seen it in the theater?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's weird. It's weird. So we're in space. We are introduced to the space station Minos in the year 2127. And aboard it, the space station, it should be noted, is kind of long and rectangular. That'll become important later. Aboard it...
It is a superior... Outer space stuff is better in this than in Leprechaun 4.
Yes, because there's miniatures.
Yeah.
And there was one notable scene coming up where, for some reason, well, I know for why reason, but they switched to CG, and it's jarring. We're aboard space station Minos in the year 2021 or 2127. So aboard 2021. Aboard, we meet Paul Merchant, who it turns out is finishing his grand experiment. He has a kind of yoga Terminator in a room.
Yeah.
That he remote controls.
It is a yoga Terminator.
Yeah, and it feels like people who didn't make the first movie working with what's they got from the first movie, because there's this definitely thing. It's like, well, if you want to open the lament configuration, you have to sit Lotus style with shirtless and hold it in front of you. And it's like, no, that
doesn't make any sense.
That's just how a guy does it in the first movie in like an opening scene. It's not important.
But also, if you're going to build a robot to do it, you're just going to build the arms. You're not going to...
I assume there has to be some kind of like
give it an entire human form.
Maybe there has to be some kind of human structure for the box to work, because there is a kind of...
Well, but even then, you use a mannequin, and you still just build the arms, and you just bolt them to the top of a mannequin.
It is a very sophisticated robot for what it is. It doesn't open the lament configuration on its own. He has to like use remote control glove hands to open the lament configuration. And so the reason for the robot being so sophisticated is a mystery.
No.
But it is a weird thing, because the robot from afar is a miniature, and then when they close up on its hands as it opens the box, that's CG.
Yes. The actual manipulation of the box had to be CG. They couldn't. Short of putting robot-looking gloves on a person and having them do it, I bet they... You know? Sure.
He's... Anyway,
Yoga Terminator.
So Yoga Terminator
configuration.
Yes, he's really opening, and the computer tells him that there is a transport of humanoids coming aboard, and starting to move in, which is another problem I have, because to say humanoids implies that they aren't human, or they might not be human.
Right.
There's no aliens in this movie.
No, but also, we got to assume that if you got the technology to scan a ship and tell us what kind of creatures are in it,
right,
that you could just identify the ship, be like, oh yeah, that's the fucking Space Marines.
Right. I don't know. So the box opens, and then it leaps from the robot's hands to finish the last bit of the sequence, as it so often does. And then the robot explodes. We get another flash of Pinhead. And Paul starts talking to Pinhead, hinting about this is him getting revenge on the demon. And then the feed to the room with the box in it is cut. And when the soldiers get to Paul and shut all of his shit down. So we cut to the soldiers discussing the situation in an expo dumpy scene. It seems that Merchant was the one who built the space station, and it is the biggest and best one of its kind in the company, which is like a weirdly ambiguous statement. We don't know how many there are. We don't know what company it is. We don't know what it's even supposed to do or be. We just know that it isn't doing it, and it's his fault. Like he's taken it offline and rerouted all the power to his personal quarters, and he seems like he just went crazy. But what exactly the station was for, we don't know.
Yeah.
Unspecified. So the Rimmer, who is the psych expert? Question mark. She's like, I have to sit down.
Interrogator. She's
she's
some
to
kind of
evaluate him.
specialist. Yeah.
So she's gonna sit there and talk him down, talk to him about it, and he is. So they sit down and they're talking, and he tells her that they're all just in horrible danger as long as they're on the station. It's a trap to catch hell itself. That he was the only one left. He sent all the crew back to Earth, and he proposes a deal with her. He'll explain everything if she lets him finish what he started. So we flash back. It is story time.
Yeah.
400
Most
years.
of this movie, it turns out, is not in space.
Yes. In 400 years previous, in 1727 in France, Philippe Leprechaun, who is a famous toy maker, builds the first puzzle box, otherwise known as the Lament configuration, for the Duc de Lisle. Duc de Lisle? Who is, he's a kind of French aristocrat, occult enthusiast guy.
It's a Marquis de Sade type.
Yes, that's the general vibe. He finishes it, and his wife comes in, and she's like, "Oh boy, you made a box." And he's like, "It's my masterpiece." And she's like, "It's a box."
Yeah, she is underwhelmed.
She is. And he's like, "I gotta go show it to him, like, right now." And she's like, "It's 9:00, man. Why don't you just wait till tomorrow?"
He's like, "Because I want somebody to fucking appreciate all the work I did."
She's like, "But I'm pregnant." And he's like, "Too bad." At the
But I
Duke's
just
place,
find out you're dumb, and I don't want you to have my kid.
I want you just keep the kid. I got the box. At the Duke's place, Doc brings in a woman who is, I assume she's meant to be some kind of prostitute.
That was my impression.
Yeah, it specifies that they specify that she has no family, no connections to anybody, isn't even baptized.
Yeah, no one's coming to look for her.
Right. So the Duke brings her in, and he offers her some food from this grand feast that he has set in front of her. He tells her to, just like fill herself up, and she eats a single grape. And then the Duke does a magic trick and pulls a scarf out, so that he then multiplies it to 2 scarves. And Jacques, his assistant, uses those scarves to start tying her hands to the chair. And it's all kind of just before she can kind of put together how sinister all this shit is.
Yeah.
And suddenly she's being strangled.
Yeah.
At the Duke's instructions. Whoop, let's drop that.
Well, first she realizes that, like, the food on the table is rotten and full of
It's
worms
a weird
and shit. Like,
Yeah,
it was an illusion or something, and
I guess.
I don't know.
But so he strangles her, he murders her, she's dead, and then the Duke is like, "Okay, let's get to work."
It's Adam Scott that murders her.
It is very important to note that Adam Scott is the sinister assistant.
In Adam
Jacques.
Scott's first big movie acting role, he murders a prostitute within 5 minutes of being on screen.
Leprechaun arrives at the Duke's place and delivers the box. They give him money, and they're like, "Okay, fuck off." And instead, he kind of hangs around and he's like poking through the windows to see what's going on inside. I don't know why. And
He loves his box and he wants to see it work.
I want to see them.
They didn't appreciate it
your
enough. He needs
expression
to
as you
see them
as you play with
appreciate
the
it.
box. And he sees that the Duke and Jacques are getting up to, and he hangs about for a long time as they skin this dead woman.
Yes.
Very carefully skinning
Flay her and sort of hang her a certain way.
Yeah, they want to get the skin all off in one big chunk.
Yeah.
Kind of like you do when you get sunburned. And then
and you molt.
and you molt, yeah. And so they get rid of all the inside bits. They don't need that shit. And then they hang the skin up, and then they start performing a demonic ritual using the power of the spell of the puzzle box. The Duke intones a spell that causes the puzzle box to start to open in a portal to kind of like open up beneath the skin.
Yeah.
And then there's crazy shit, lights and earthquakes and shit like that. Leprechaun, this is the point where he runs. Skinning the woman didn't faze him. This is the part where he gets the fuck out of there. But when they're done, the skin is chock full of demon. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
Jacques chimes in that you can't control you can't control summon. You can't control summon demon. But you can make it do whatever you want as long as you do not stand in hell's way. Is the particular turn of phrase. And the Duke tells her name is Angelique. Leprechaun talks to a scientist friend of his who just frankly doesn't believe any of this story.
Yeah, he's like he's a coroner or something. I mean, they're not.
I think he's supposed to be like a
It's like
medical
doing
doctor.
an autopsy or something.
He's experimenting on corpses or whatever,
Oh, okay.
you know, taking measurements and such. He's a naturalist, as they would say at the time. He contends that science has, in fact, disproven God, which means there is no heaven and therefore no hell. Solid logic. And he proposes that if Leprechaun built a machine that can create demons, he should be able to build one that destroys them as well. I mean, it follows. Leprechaun, for his part, begins designing such a device, but he has to go back to the Duke Dial to steal the original puzzle box to kind of make everything work.
Right.
His wife follows him there, and
why didn't you just build another one?
I don't know. He has all of the stuff for it, right? Like, I don't know, because they needed this to happen. So he sneaks in and he tries to steal the box. He kind of like sneaks into the room, and it's just like a bloodbath. There's like body parts and shit everywhere. Jacques and Angelique are on the bed having like weird murder sex or some shit.
Yeah.
And the Duke is like tied up with like barbed wire in a chair.
Yeah, he's
yeah, apparently dead, but he's not dead yet. So when Leprechaun tries to grab the box, the Duke wakes up. And Angelique is suddenly just there, and then Jacques sneaks up on him and cracks him on the head, knocking him to the floor. He tells Leprechaun that his bloodline is cursed because he created the box. He's now tied to it. And he tells Angelique, just like, kill him. I'm going to get back in bed. You know, it's weird. And sometimes later, Leprechaun's wife sneaks in and finds her husband dying. Yeah. And he tells her, like, save yourself and our unborn child. Get the fuck out of here.
It's too late for me.
Yeah. That's the end of that story. That's how that story ends. It's weird. So Merchant in the present future?
It's the present of this movie because it's 96.
2127. No, it's a little interstitial thing.
I see.
In the future. He tells Rimmer that Angelique had more puzzle boxes made. From Merchant's designs, but they worked, they were good, but there's always this kind of thing that they wanted, like an ultimate box that could open like a permanent doorway to hell. So that's when we go to the modern day, 1996, and see John Merchant, who is he's an architect, I believe.
Yes.
And he is having nightmares and dreams about Angelique, who tells him that she knows what he wants in his heart, that his blood is calling out for the box, and he's losing sleep now to nightmares. He has a wife and son, if anybody gives a shit. And his wife is concerned that these dreams have, he's had them all his life, but now they've been, for some reason recently, they've been getting worse. And she blames it on his grandmother for putting stories about how important his family is in his head. And he kind of changes the subject and says that it's this upcoming banquet thing that I got to do because I'm so successful.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Paris, Angelique is still with Jacques, using her evil hell sex magic to keep him young, apparently.
Yeah, well, I think that she's sort of stuck with him as long as he's
in
not
control,
getting in the way of hell.
Right. And she sees the magazine with Merchant on the cover, and is like, hey, let's go to America. And Jacques doesn't want to. He's like, no, I'm not going to America. And she's like, well, will you let me go without you? And he goes, no, I don't want to. And she kind of treats it almost like a seduction at first, but essentially he just broke the one rule. Like, he's in hell's vein. Like, she wants something and he won't let her have it.
I feel like if I were him, every time she spoke, the first thing out of my mouth would be like, will I be getting in the way of hell's plans?
Right.
If I said no, would I get in the way of hell's plans?
Hypothetically, you know. And she's like, demon claw hand. And he's like, hypothetically.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
You can go.
You can go.
I was going to say you could go.
I was going to say go. I was just talking. I was just making conversation. God,
I'm just curious about how it works.
Her hand turns into like a demon hand, and she kind of, she scratches his face and stuff and cuts him up a little bit before she literally just like rips his heart out of his chest and kills him. In New York City.
Now she is free.
Yes, thus she is unleashed upon the world. In New York City, Merchant is receiving his architecture award in his newest building. According to the notes, this building makes an appearance at the end of the third Hellraiser movie. So that's
See,
supposed to be our connecting tissue.
I need to go back and watch that, because what I read was that the idea was inspired by the end of the third one, but it didn't say that it's the same building. Like this was all like Clive Barker's plan to have the three parts, the different like eras, and then to have this building be a Lamette configuration. But then this other guy that he was working with added the La Merchant, the merchant thing, to tie it all together. And so I can't say, because I wanted to go watch the other three before we did this, but I did not have time. So
I've seen the first two quite a few times. It's been a while since I've done the third one. I don't want to get too much into it because they are obviously future episodes of this podcast.
Yeah. I've seen 1 and 2 a lot. I don't remember 3.
I do not at all. So anyway, he's getting an award. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
He's getting an award, and the room that he's getting this award in has all these kind of puzzle box motifs written large on the wall. As he gets up to give his big speech, he sees in the back of the crowd Angelique, who kind of like disappears and then reappears and stuff in a very mysterious kind of way. And he kind of panics and just cuts his speech short and runs. Just books it. She watches him leave and then purposely, she does this whole weird thing. She like purposely bumps into this like chubby guy.
Yeah.
And like drops all the shit out of her purse. So he goes and like picks all it up, and she's like, "Oh, let me thank you with sex," because that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, she's mean to him first. She like basically calls him an idiot, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me make it up to you."
With
sex.
With sex.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, if you want to have sex, then how guys talk. And so she just like leads him down into like a sub basement or something, and he's like, "Are we gonna have the sex here?" And she refuses to give him her name, and he doesn't care. Sex. No. And in the basement, they come into this kind of like large storeroom space ish, and she tells him, "Close your eyes." Well, she goes over to like one of the columns in the room and
this bothered me. How did she know that was there? How did that get there?
She punches into the column and pulls out the puzzle box.
I know.
I feel like she knew that the puzzle box was there because demons.
She could sense the puzzle box, I guess.
And I think that this is supposed to be I think that it might have been a thing like at the end of the third movie they're building this building.
That would explain it, yeah.
And the puzzle box was kind of dropped into the concrete to get rid of it.
So it's because of the thing that we just said we didn't know.
Yep.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. She ends up with the puzzle box. That's the important thing. So then she's like, "All right, baby, time for a game, a puzzle box."
You like puzzles.
And he's like, "Are you sure this leads to sex?" And so
he's like the golf tees in the triangle at Cracker Barrel. That's more my speed.
Right. So she has him assume the position, lotus position on the floor, shirt off, solving the puzzle box.
Like a yoga Terminator.
Like a yoga Terminator. And he does so, and a portal to hell cracks open in the wall in front of him, as it's supposed to. Chains shoot out and like drag him a bit and then drop him. And then one giant one comes out, grabs him by the neck, and just drags him through the portal. And finally, 36 into this movie, Pinhead shows up. He greets Angelique and she comments on his look. And he tells her that since she left hell, things have become more ordered than she remembers and less amusing. And he refers to her as a princess.
Yes.
I'm not sure what that's meant to indicate. I guess the rise of the Cenobite priestly order, I assume.
I guess. It seemed like in the stuff I read, there was a lot more originally between the two of them, a lot more like
more
tension and drama and even at least one violent confrontation. But
interesting.
But she's the only other being that is kind of on his level at all.
Right. It feels like that. Like
there's always a clear hierarchy with him at the top, and she's not necessarily subservient to him.
It feels like she's the only other kind of Cenobite that is like thinking on her own, essentially.
Yeah. Well, and she's been out in the human world, enjoying, all of that shit for so long that she doesn't necessarily want to do hell anymore. But her approach is different too. He's, a hardline, like, pain guy.
Yes.
She's more the, like,
Seduction.
seduce you into evil.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic. So he's like, she's like, hey, before you like freak out with all your whips and chains and hooks and shit, let me show you this awesome building, which is obviously giant puzzle box stuff. And she explains, and he's like, oh, this is wild stuff, but what am I supposed to do with it? And she explains that the designer of the building is Merchant, like the most recent one, and the box calls to his blood, and he tells her that the place is he describes it as a Holocaust waiting to wake itself. Doug Bradley's Pinhead talks like this.
Yeah.
Every line is for the trailer.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun, but it's also like, what are we doing now?
Yeah, I didn't really, because there's the whole thing where he's trying to do a thing with light, like eternal light, and we obviously know that that's bad for the demons.
Right.
So I wasn't 100% sure if he meant it's a Holocaust for everyone else because we'll unleash hell, or it's a Holocaust for us because this is the thing that could destroy us.
That's a good question. I don't know that he understands the concept of the perpetual light thing at that point. And I think that the designs on the walls are all kind of just Lament configuration puzzle box.
Yeah.
So,
they look terrible, though. It's just kind of big gold cardboard things on the wall, it looks like. Like, it's just not...
movie budget. TV movie production.
I know, but it's such a shame because... And I could see how conceptually you would think giant Lament configuration, but, like, the delicacy of it is what makes it look so, like, awesome and mysterious.
Yes.
And when you blow it up, it's just curves.
Well, it's also just, like, they're just sort of, like, art pieces hung on the wall.
Yeah.
It's not like the design of the building itself. It's an ordinary room that somebody's hung a bunch of these blown up, like, puzzle box panels on.
Yeah, but I think it's supposed to be like a giant mechanical kind of thing.
Right, but it's just not. I think that if it was, it would look more involved and more intricate and more interesting in general.
It's like...
as it is, it falls a little flat.
Yeah, it's like, it's like a high school stage play has to build Santa's workshop.
Yes.
And so there's giant gears and there's,
Yes. It's sort of that kind of level of, like, broad swings.
Yeah.
And, like, you get it. You guys get it.
We made the shapes. We told you what they were.
It looks great, doesn't it? The gears turn.
But another thing that makes this look so much like a TV movie is that they do so much of it, like, in tight. Like, it's shot up so close, and we're in these big spaces that are supposed to be vast and impressive.
Right.
And we get, like, a glimpse of that, and then we're back to, like, a medium shot of Pinhead,
Right.
There's no feeling of grandiosity in any of the cinematography in this.
No.
Even in outer space. Like, there's no space.
Well, I mean, it is another thing of, like, the spaces don't feel like they feel like they were found and somebody said, this kind of works for this.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, grand sets that were designed for this. Like, again, the Minos space station is mostly engine room.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we cut to John Merchant's design firm, and Angelique just sort of shows up to talk to him. And he's kind of mystified by her very existence, because this is a woman he's been dreaming of since he was a kid. As they're walking through the design firm, she sees framed on the wall is the original Leprechaun's design for this, like, anti-demon thing, which is kind of this just swirling black lines thing.
Yeah, it does not look like a plan you could follow to build anything.
No, and she comments on it. He explains that he's actually working on something based on those designs. Those are the designs of his ancestor, and she asks him to show it to her, and he tells her it's essentially like a system of, like, lasers and mirrors to create perpetual light in a box. Like, the swirling shape, that's the path that the light beams would take? Question mark?
I mean, it's kind of a neat idea that if it's what they were trying to say, is that you'd fire this laser in And then it would just never stop moving. It would never go away because it would,
it would
always
keep
be
bouncing in and off
reflected.
itself. Right.
And eventually, if you did it exactly right, it would fill the entire space.
Right.
You know?
But he's having trouble. There's something missing, he says, and eventually the light will just die out. And she's like, she reacts kind of afraid to him at the sound of this. It says like, well, the single moment that the light does exist perpetually would kind of be enough, which is very mysterious. And she
also
tells him
not perpetual.
Yes, that's not what perpetual means. She tells him his blood will remember, and she kind of like touches his head and calls him Leprechaun, and he calls her Angelique. I don't know if we were supposed to be like, he got some like ancestral memories like unlocked or something from that.
But his ancestor didn't know Angelique except that she killed him.
No,
Yeah,
he ran away when the demon shit started.
Did he even ever hear her name? I
don't believe so. It's fine because it's not like he has all of his ancestors' memories anyway.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a weird moment. He has a sex dream about her. And when he wakes up in bed with his wife after having a sex dream about another woman, the phone is ringing. And it's Angelique. And she's like, I will see you in your office the next day. Which is like, A, you know he's going to be in the office the next day. B, why are you even bothering? Like, just show up at the office.
Yeah.
It's weird to, like, make it like a conspiratorial little plan. You know what I mean?
No, it was so he could tell his wife it was no big deal, and we'd all know that he was, like, attracted to Angelique.
He's being naughty. Meanwhile, Pinhead is getting impatient with Angelique, insisting that his intimidation tactics and torture tactics work much faster than her goofy-ass seduction. As he's talking, he has his
How great would it be to hear Doug Bradley as Pinhead tell Angelique about her goofy-ass seduction?
Your goofy-ass seduction! As he talks, he feeds a pet creature. It's kind of a hellhound type thing. I believe I saw notes that referred to it as the Chatterbeast.
Yeah.
For what that's worth. So he has one of those.
It's just a dog made of meat scraps.
Yeah, pretty much. Hot. Elsewhere in the building, twin security guards, which is... It's one of those things, it's like, because it's supposed to be nighttime, so it's low light. You kind of have to, like, you kind of look twice, like, wait, are those twins?
Yeah.
Why? And they're both security guards at the same place. They hear a noise, which is in fact Doug Bradley feeding his Chatterbeast. And when they go to investigate, they find a door that isn't supposed to be there. So they go in to investigate while having a very weird conversation about dating transsexuals. I don't think they just needed dialogue. Is that how twins talk? I hope not.
I don't know. It was supposed to be, comic relief, I guess.
I guess. The twins inspect a creepy tunnel behind the creepy mystery door, and then the lights go out and the door shuts behind them. And we cut back and forth between them and Pinhead's telling Angelique that seduction is illusion, and he shows people what they really are. Again, this is just how Pinhead talks. The twins eventually find bloody remains, which I don't even know who they killed, before they bust in the room and find Pinhead and Angelique.
I thought maybe it was the dude that she made do the configuration.
Oh, yeah, probably. That just seems so basement-y, and this seems so, like, high-risey. I don't know.
Maybe they've just been collecting everybody that walks along,
Anybody who happens to walk in, they just kill them.
Yep.
There's a pile of guys.
There's...
3 maids, like...
Yep.
And Angelique's like, you could just lock the door. And he's like, their suffering is my food. And, or whatever he says. So Pinhead traps the twins with chains, and then he uses them as a lesson for Angelique. And he, uses the two of them together at the head.
Yeah, well, it's like
twisting their flesh and converting them into Cenobites.
Yeah, like 2 half-masks come in and impale their heads and hold them there.
Yeah.
And then something comes in between their heads that has drill bits, and they're pushed in onto it, and as it twists, their flesh sort of wraps around it.
Yeah.
And spirals together.
They're the twins. That's their Cenobite name. And he tells Angelique he will get Merchant's secrets by inflicting pain, and the greatest pain that there is the loss of a child. Cut to John is at the design firm and with Angelique, apparently about to like bang it out, and his wife is at home, and she leaves their son alone playing with K'Dax, while she goes to the laundry room in apparently the creepiest stairwell in all of moviedom.
The biggest damned apartment in the world.
It is stage set like apartment. Like, one room looks like this, and it's very kind of wide angle and open, and then we cut to a doorway at the top of a set of stairs, again, very wide angle and open. It's very strange. Feels like a musical.
Yeah, the layout of this place makes no sense.
It does not. Just as and then she gets down this creepy ass stairway down this creepy like corridor, ends up in the laundry room. Laundry room, fairly pleasant actually. There's like a window and birds singing and shit like that.
She's not in the same building anymore.
No, like 3 times she's not in the same building. Just as she's about to get this load of laundry on, she hears Jack scream, and so then she has to run to find him that he's gone, and it's like she's got to run back down the corridor, then run up the stairs, and then come out and like.
But then in the apartment, she goes to another part of the apartment and is looking down a staircase.
I don't know that it's supposed to be an apartment. Well, I don't understand.
Then maybe it's a house, but
it's a weird house. Anyway, she goes around a corner. She sees at the bottom of the stairs, she sees Jack in the clutches of Pinhead, and Pinhead tells her that she's going to suffer as well, but he's there on business, and that is to acquire live bait. Mm-hmm. John shows up. Yeah. I don't know. He just does. He busts in the room looking, and he finds both his wife and son taken. And a copy of the magazine about him winning his award is like stuck to the wall with a kitchen knife, and is bleeding. This tells him that the building he designed, that's where they went. I guess.
But also it's hard to imagine Pinhead holding a magazine up and stabbing it.
I imagine that Angelique had to have done that, right? Or the twins.
I thought she was with him, though. Like, she wasn't there with Pinhead.
I think there's a missing scene where she says, hey, by the way...
She's working her angle, and Pinhead's like, no, that doesn't work. I'm going to go do mine. She wasn't there.
Yeah, but then she obviously said or did something that made him say, like, oh, shit, my family. Because we go straight from them, like, kind of, about to get it on to he busts in the door. So Bobby, that's his wife's name. Bobby and Jack are seemingly alone in captivity, and in like the room with like a bunch of chunks of meat and shit in it and chains. Yeah. And she sees the puzzle box on the table, and she goes to kind of pick it up, and the Chatterbeast barks at her, and she drops it. I suppose he chatters at her. And then Merchant is kind of there at the award-winning building looking for his family. He just sort of shows up places. We got to get moving. Is what it is. He goes to he ends up walking through a corridor that's like covered in hell detritus, the classic Hellraiser kind, chains, viscera, all that usual shit. And he ends up coming to the room where his family's being held. But when he tries to go to them, the Chatterbeast growls at him. Pinhead then shows up and explains he wants Merchant to finish his work. And there's a great line here. Classic Pinhead. Gotta love him. Merchant's like, says something, and he's like, for God's sake. And Pinhead asks, do I look like someone who cares what God thinks? So Pinhead thinks that the room that has those giant puzzle box designs on the wall, it could become essentially a giant puzzle box and open a permanent doorway to hell. That's right. That's what he thinks is going to happen. But while Pinhead is walking them downstairs to that room, Merchant is like, well, he's in like a lot of S&M gear and can't run after them. So like, let's just book it and we'll be fine. And so
his legs are basically taped together. I mean,
right. He's shuffling like Morticia Addams. So they duck into a side corridor. They get to an elevator, and he's this is his plan. Him and the wife will each split up to a different stairwell, and they'll get in the elevator and then meet up down at the bottom. The kid will take the elevator down. They'll meet at the bottom of the elevator, and then they can run away. But if they split up, they can't chase all of them, right? Right. So she runs off. They send the kid down the elevator. Merchant, for his part, lies and goes back to confront Pinhead because his blood demands it, or whatever the fuck they keep saying. And Pinhead tells him that the
puzzle box is just a model. What they want is the full size thing. And we get it. The building is supposed to be a puzzle box. He then imitates his son's Jack's voice, which sends Merchant running to find him, his son, in fear. Meanwhile, his wife gets chased by the chatter beast and ends up in the room with the puzzle box. Kind of just chases her to the puzzle box. And she uses the puzzle box to kind of, because that's what summoned the creature, to just get rid of it. Light kind of floods out from the box and like absorbs the chatter beast.
See, I always thought that it was supposed to be difficult to do the puzzle box.
Right.
You know, it's a whole thing. It's a puzzle. You can't just pick it up and use it like a gun.
I don't know if maybe she has had some exposure to the designs because her husband is an ancestor of Merchant and he apparently has all of his grandfather's designs somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. And regardless, that's what happens. John gets to the bottom of the elevator. His son was nowhere to be found, and then Angelique, it turns out, has him. And she orders him to get to the computer and start opening the portal for her. Sure, her intention is to double-cross Pinhead.
Yeah,
and
she just wants to stay on Earth and get rid of the...
So she's telling him essentially to do his this alternate program that his ancestor came up with. I saw notes that called it the Elysium configuration as opposed to the Lament configuration. I don't know how official that is though. I certainly didn't hear it in the movie.
No.
So he gets to the computer, starts using it, and then the machines start like moving and shooting out light that's starting to swirl around the room. And as everybody's kind of watching that, John gets Jack to come over to him. But then the system overloads and shuts down. Pinhead at this point loses complete patience with John and all of his bullshit. And he shoots like this. There's like a folding hook on a chain through his neck. The hook unfolds. He pulls it back, decapitating John.
Yeah.
No more.
Which, you know, it's pretty rad.
It's very cool. It's a cool Pinhead moment. Because he kind of like it, he does it, and then there's got a moment where the head kind of rocks back and slowly falls off his neck.
Although it is a surprisingly and mercifully quick death
for Pinhead,
coming from Pinhead,
but he was pissed.
That's true. You don't get to feel eternal pain.
Right.
That's how mad I am.
That's how angry I am. Bobby, the wife, shows up and grabs Jack, and she tries to use the box to get rid of Pinhead, but it flies out of her hands. Because it's not her thing. It's his thing. Thank you very fucking much. The walls explode and chains grab Angelique and drag her into a portal to hell. And lights and chains emerge and drag away both Angelique and Pinhead and drag them into the box. And then they're gone. Meanwhile, back in space, Merchant tells Rimmer that his blood spoke to him, carrying the secret of how to stop the demons. And he was in the middle of summoning the demons so that he could stop them when they showed up. He could have just not. You know, he could have just not. Because apparently this Elysium configuration, we'll go ahead with that name, it doesn't just like stop them, it destroys them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it'll like burn through them.
Right. Merchant begs Rimmer to let him finish what he started. Just at that time, another guy comes to the room and he's like, hey, we're getting out of here as soon as we're done checking out his quarters there. And he's like, you really shouldn't check out my quarters there. So the one guy he's doing it though. He hears children calling for help behind this giant locked cell door. And then he uses a laser rifle, the future, to shoot the lock off the door. And then when he goes to investigate, all he finds is the sad remains of Yogobot. Rest in peace. And Pinhead shows up and he's like, I'm doing this now. And he rips all the skin off the guy's head. Because he is pissed. He's had 3 generations of this dickhead jerking him around, and he is not messing around anymore. We see Angelique, and she is now full Cenobite. Which I believe she appeared as a Cenobite in earlier films. She just wasn't named or whatever. This is kind of just her origin story. And then the twins show up, and yay. But they know that Merchant has a plan, and they're not going to let him finish it. Meanwhile, the other space soldiers are getting itchy because Guy hasn't responded, And Merchant is like, hey, you need to let me finish my work. He's in a space jail with laser bars.
Yeah.
So he can't
In
get out.
space.
In space. So he's like, hey, you'll have to let me finish my work. Otherwise, we're all going to die. And they're like, I don't know. This guy seems pretty nutty. So they split up to search the station. And a different guy goes walking around and finds the remains of the first dude. And that's when he sees Angelique in her human form inside a mirror calling to him for help. Like this giant full-length mirror that just happens to be at this, scientific
playing
space
the damsel
station.
in distress.
Uh-huh. And he kind of like goes over the mirror and tries to figure out what the hell he's supposed to do with a woman trapped in a mirror. And she just sort of like grabs his wrists and pulls him halfway in. And then the mirror solidifies and chops half of his body off. So he did.
I kind of dig that, like, looking like a human, that was a result of her being pulled into that skin.
Yeah, for sure.
And now she's been returned to her normal form. She didn't have that skin anymore. And so the only time we see it again is as an illusion in a mirror.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's kind of a cool idea that now she can only use it.
She is post-transformation.
Yeah.
For sure.
But she can't physically manifest that shape anymore.
Because that's not what she is anymore.
Yeah.
So the leader of them all, I believe his name is Chamberlain. He's wandering around, and Pinhead just shows up in front of him, and he freaks out and tries to shoot him, but his laser rifle is useless against the power of hell. So he runs away, and he kind of just like hides in a small alcove, and then Pinhead just sort of like walks past the alcove.
So he thinks he's safe.
It is the most TV movie part of this distinctly made for TV movie.
Like, whew, close call.
Yeah, close call from that guy. Mentos. Just then, as he kind of literally blows out like a breath of relief, the Cheddar Beast shows up and just eats him. So there's, Rimmer is listening to the radio and just hearing people scream in terror and pain. And she's finally like, you know what, Merchant, let's try your way, and lets him out of his space jail. The other guy who's kind of there is like, because Merchant's like, we're gonna set this trap and we're gonna get to the shuttle. And the other guy's like, I gotta go find my buddy first. And they're like, he's dead. And he's like, I'll go find him. And he grabs his rifle, and Merchant's like, your gun won't help you. Because your weapons, you will not need them, Chris.
No.
That's a Star Wars reference. But he tells him what will help. Cut. And next thing we see, the dude is scrambling through the remains of the yoga robot, the robot rubble or robubble. And he finds the the puzzle box, and just as he does, a shadow falls across him. It's Angelique and the twins. And see, this guy can't open the box because it's complicated.
And really, it was a dick move from Rashad to be like, hey, that thing will protect you, because the dude is even like, no, he told me this will protect me.
Right.
Oh, well, he told you. Well,
did he tell you that? And then Angelique just sort of like summons it back to herself and then leaves him for the twins to kill. They
by hugging him.
Yeah, they kind of just like pull apart like freshly made cinnamon buns, and then and then squish back together on either side of him and like absorb his flesh into them. If it sounds vague, it's because the movie's pretty vague about it.
It is. It's not a very clear what they're doing to him.
But there's a lot of blood and screaming, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
So Merchant finally finishes his work on the program, and Pinhead shows up in the room, and Pinhead's like, we're doing this. This is over. Come on, man. Ollie, oxen free. And he's like, hey, look at that. And he puts the earth up on like a monitor.
Yeah.
And Pinhead is immediately like, look at that. It's like a giant blueberry. He waxes philosophical about it, being the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Flesh. And then when he turns back around, Merchant is gone again. And he's like, how long have I been talking to myself? It's very silly. I really don't understand what the problem is. He's really easy to slip. He runs into Rimmer, and she says, and he tells her, get ready to leave. Go to the shuttle, get ready to leave, but do not live without me. I am not killing myself for this shit. Not in this movie.
He was
Just-
supposed to. The original ending had him dying on the ship with them.
It would make sense, but I guess he doesn't want that. So they both run off. She runs headfirst into the Chatterbeast and then has to turn around and get chased by it. And it kind of chases her around a while. She ends up trapping it in this, like, I guess it's like a airlock or something. It's a decompression chamber is what it is. Seals the thing in there and then decompresses the room and blows it up. Because if Leprechaun 4 taught us anything, is that space blows people up.
Yeah, it makes you explode.
That's the science. I can't change the science, Chris. That's the science of explosions. Pinhead finds so Pinhead comes into a room, and it's a very Pinhead room because there's chains hanging from the ceiling and all this shit. And he's like, and he finds Merchant standing there, and he's like, and now I got you, and it's over.
I'm not gonna stop looking at you this time. You're not running away.
You stupid guy, you had faith in the light. And Merchant is like, yeah, but what do you have faith in? And then, trailer line, I am so exquisitely empty. I can't help it. I love Pinhead. He's fucking great.
You have to.
I love that he talks like that. I love that it doesn't make any sense, but it sounds important coming out of his big dumb mouth.
Well, the great thing about that kind of shit is that he is beyond our understanding. He's,
right.
He's a demon. He's eternal. He's whatever. So the crazy shit he's saying, it doesn't make sense to us, but it makes sense, Joe. We just can't understand it.
Yeah, because we're not a big enough S&M freak, because that's his only superpower.
Yeah, it's unknowable, the things he knows.
Anyway, he says because he's so exclusively empty, and Merchant tells him that it won't hurt you to die, and he's like, I can't die. I am forever. And that's when Merchant literally vanishes out of the fucking room because it was a hologram. And a screen pops up and shows Merchant and Rimmer on the shuttle that just launched. And he's like, so that's with the faith in the light, man. That's all that holograms are. It's like mirrors, you son of a bitch. And then he hits a remote button. Exactly. He hits a button on his little remote, and suddenly the entire satellite starts folding in up on itself. It turns out the entire thing is a giant puzzle box.
If you thought it was weirdly flat earlier in the movie, it was because it was waiting to do this.
Exactly. And then this weird little satellite that's been floating around it the whole time in the foreground shoots a laser light out that bounces admittedly off of nothing, but it bounces and starts filling up the puzzle box as it's closing up.
Well, isn't it harnessing like the nearby star?
Sure. The light hits Pinhead in his room of chains, and we get
as the box closes, the light is inside of it, and it's ricocheting all the fuck around.
Right, and Pinhead's half his face gets blown off, so he's like a skull head and stuff. Pins him to the wall, and then it is nice. Merchant goes, "Welcome to Oblivion," and Pinhead's final line is "Amen." And, the space station seals together with the light inside and then explodes, leaving nothing behind. And then the shuttle flies off back to Earth. Credits. The end.
And this was supposed to be the very last. They were intending to wrap the series up, but all the other movies that came after it went straight to DVD, but they also all fall in between, like 96 and 2127 or whatever.
So theoretically, this is the end of the series.
It is still the canon end of Pinhead and his Cenobites. It's just they went back and made movies that happen in the intervening years that don't involve Merchant.
And they don't do any other ones where they go to space or in the far flung future of 2127.
No, everything else is terrestrial.
Yeah, but it's not the worst movie.
It's not. I enjoyed watching it. I mean, it's another one that's pretty easy to make fun of, but it's fun. You get to see Cenobites do Cenobite shit.
Look, every line that Pinhead says sounds
like pure gold.
Sounds like pure gold. I would have actually appreciated with this kind of, multiple stories within a story format, maybe like one or two more little glimpses into the history of the Merchants and the Lament configuration.
Yeah.
But for what it is, it's not bad. It's not the worst movie.
I liked, Hellraiser paints a very specific picture of hell and its demons.
Right.
So And, you know, there's different Cenobites in different movies, and you get a little more lore here and there. And
Sure.
But I liked Angelique as a different approach to, you know, that.
Right. Yeah, it's nice little bit of world building, and it's nice to have another named Cenobite, essentially somebody else to be a kind of main character type.
That isn't just named for how they look.
Right.
Well, I mean,
right.
Pinhead, but
Yeah, exactly. But it's yeah.
They also apparently went back to like the makeup in this is done the same way as the makeup in the first two. They had tried something different in 3 to make it.
Oh, really?
Like, I think they were trying a different technique to make it easier to get on and off or something,
Okay.
but it didn't look as good and wasn't as comfortable. And so they just went back to the old ways. But, you know, Guillermo del Toro was asked to direct this.
Really? Oh,
And then
thank God he
failing
didn't.
that, Stuart Gordon was asked to direct this. And then he turned it down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they were with him, they were specifically looking for somebody that could do it low budget. The original plan would have been too expensive, so they had to chop it all up. I mean, they had to cut it down to a $4 million movie.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what the original vision for it was.
Well, there's one of the trivia pieces is that first off, there's a rough cut with alternate footage on one of the Blu-ray releases.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
I think the Arrow release.
Okay.
And then there's a fan edit that uses the original script with footage from the theatrical cut, the work print, and from Hellraiser 2 and 3 as flashbacks.
What?
A scene that was never filmed, they animated, and they used the guy turning to dust in Last Crusade
Yeah.
for Jacques' death. Because I guess that's more accurate to the script. And
Yeah.
it's supposedly, I haven't looked for it yet. If it's there, I'm going to watch it. But supposedly, it's on YouTube, and it's called Hellraiser 4 Bloodline Reconstruction Work Print.
Interesting. I will definitely seek that out. That sounds
It's entirely possible that by now it's been taken down for copyright strike or something.
probably, but it's got to be somewhere
But
out there.
someone made it. It exists.
Interesting.
But this was
I
Miramax. This was Miramax, and Guillermo del Toro had the same issues when he made Mimic that
Yes, I
Yeager had
remember
when he
reading
made
that
this.
recently. Yes, and
So-
Mimic actually turned out to be a pretty fine movie, I think. But I
was-
heard
it
that
was
he didn't get the
good.
ending he wanted.
he got to make a director's cut eventually, but
Okay,
the theatrical release was not at all what he envisioned.
oh, that's really lame. I mean, got the guy's Oscar winning. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing messing with this stuff? That's a shame. Yeah, future podcast episode Mimic for sure. But all that being said, there are worse Hellraiser movies, but that's only by dint of
Yeah.
the fact that there are Hellraiser movies made just to hang on to the license.
Yeah. I'm actually intrigued. I want to see the remake, the reboot.
The reboot, I loved the reboot.
Was it good?
I enjoyed it very much so.
Well, it's the first one that Clive Barker was directly involved in since
Yes.
this one.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. The original will always hold a special place in my heart. I don't want to get too into it. Like I said, like we will cover those movies eventually, but Hellbound Heart, the original novella, is almost beat for beat exactly the original first Hellraiser.
Yeah.
It is almost completely dead on. A few details shifted here and there. Nothing that's so much that you can't get all of out of it. Not that you don't need to read Hellbound Heart. The remake took what Hellraiser is and reimagined it in a way that's very satisfying. It does. It's got that vibe of like, we're not trying to do Hellraiser again. We're trying to
Right.
make something new.
Right.
And I respect that, you know. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Well, I'm
Um,
looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed this one enough. It got me back into sort of the Hellraiser universe, and I haven't
For
visited
sure,
it
for
in a
sure.
while. And I want to watch. I also want to watch a lot of the direct-to-video ones. Like I've seen some interesting clips from some of them, like Judgment. There's some cool parts in that. It
Okay.
looks like I don't know.
Yeah, I went through a streak at one point of watching as many of them as I could. I think I made it to 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Before I kind of ran out of steam. I did not see one that made me go, "Wolf, I'm never watching another Hellraiser movie." I will say that. Um, I I would really like to see one that delves more into the lore and explores the world of Hellraiser, and specifically the hell of Hellraiser and everything from that perspective. Hellraiser 2 gives us a little bit of that without getting too deep into it. I'd love a deep dive into it. I could also see how something like that could just go completely off the rails and be a ball of garbage. But that's me though. I just love deep dive lore shit. I apparently watched up to part 7. Look at that. Huh. I don't remember.
Well, there's 6 more after this one. There's 10 total.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's
exhausting. Anyway, Hellraiser 4. Great
Hellraiser
stuff.
4. I don't really have a sequelitis for this. Like,
You
I mean,
don't?
aside, I don't.
Oh.
I
do.
Okay, well, I want to hear yours, but I
Okay.
can't really think of any.
Well, let's see. Maybe you can riff on this one. So Hellraiser Bloodline sequelitis. We pick up Alien style, right? The shuttle that Rimmer and Merchant are in lands on Earth.
Okay.
And we're like, those two get, they have to go into like maybe like a couple weeks of like quarantine and like medical treatment and stuff. Because it turns out when they get back, they're feeling pretty messed up. They're like weak. They're feeling like weak physically. They have insomnia. They're having like strange bouts of like anxiety. It's the after effects of encountering beings from hell. Merchant explains that it's like it happened to his ancestors too, but this time it's worse for some reason. Kind of like it's like there's like an energy from hell, like a radiation that you're exposed to. And these are the after effects of that.
Okay.
Like you can't touch on something like that without it having long-term effects.
Yeah.
And then mix that with a little bit of PTSD, and you got a recipe for difficulty. And it turns out that while that is true, they were touched by hell energies. It turns out that when he used the Elysium configuration, they also touched on angelic energies as well. Because the opposite on Earth, it's heaven.
Right.
So now, they, and while they're in recovery or whatever, they actually get visited by some of these angelic entities, because the puzzle box, the Lament configuration, summons hell beasts. The Elysium configuration is going to summon angelic creatures.
Right.
So the way it works is that the demonic energies are like a corrupting force, while as the angelic energies purify. But like it's purity by like stripping away everything that's not pure. So with both of them going at the same time, it's extremely taxing, and they were in close proximity to both of them. So it's just chaos. Merchant is visited by the angelic versions of Cenobites, essentially. While the Cenobites are humans that were turned into demons.
Right.
Angels are something that was never human that is trying to be human.
Okay.
So the result is it's like the same.
Like trying to achieve humanity, or just trying to, for your comfort, present themselves as a human?
No, like jealous of humanity's role in creation.
Oh, okay.
And so like shaping themselves to look like humans, this way that Cenobites shape themselves to not look human.
Right.
So it's hitting the same kind of like weird, creepy visual thing, but coming at it from a different direction.
Yeah.
The angelic beings are seeking to stop anybody from using the Elysian configuration ever again, because humans were not meant to touch the etheric. They didn't give a fuck about opening a portal to hell. But when you start fucking around with their stuff, they want to stop you.
And it was always small portals to hell. It was,
right,
little boxes cracking the door open a little bit.
True.
This was in outer space and possibly harnessing a star. And
it's gigantic.
Yeah.
And but it's also this thing of like, okay, anything that the Cenobites do, the angels are going to do the opposite. So the Cenobites want you to open the portal to hell. The angels want to stop you from opening your portal to heaven. Okay. So they are able to they're able to withstand the kind of energies of heaven and the etheric energies because they, unlike humans, have no emotions.
Right.
This goes back to my obsession with the 14th century poem Dante's Inferno, Paradise, the Divine Comedy, where Dante explains quite patiently the Catholic doctrine, the idea that emotions are the part of the human soul that is in permanent contact with God. So when you feel something emotionally, it's because God's talking to you.
Oh, okay.
So that is the connection, the direct connection to God that angels don't have because they don't need it. They exist in heaven with him.
Yeah.
So
They could just holler down the street at him and
Right. So they don't have emotions. But humans exposed to this quickly become overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of the emotional connection. And then the angels aren't even in agreement of what to do about Merchant. Like if they kill him, he will go to hell. Because he's transgressed on divine grounds. And if he goes to hell, he'll be controlled by the Cenobites, and the Cenobites will be able to use his memories to reconstruct the Elysian configuration and then lead us like a siege on heaven, you know? It's if they sorry.
It would also be interesting, like as far as exploring the larger world of hell, power vacuum now that Pinhead and Angelique, the princess of hell, and
were annihilated.
Yeah, they're not there anymore. So, mom and dad didn't come home. What do we do?
Right.
What happens in hell when the boss is evaporated?
And now that means that there's probably a war going on, and God knows we don't want that to spill out into heaven.
No.
And
we've introduced the possibility of a nuclear weapon.
Right. And if they just let him go, he could just recreate his designs on Earth, which is less bad than hell having it, but still not good. And the conclusion is that they have to annihilate him completely. Nothing of his mind can survive.
Just atomize him.
Yeah, erase him from all levels of existence. So Rimmer and him get kind of chased back and forth, running from Cenobites.
Okay, cool. Good, yeah.
Cenobites in the sense.
I'm now picturing like a Scooby-Doo, like they run
exactly
like a corridor where they run out this door and in this one and then out that one, and they're being chased by a different thing every time.
Sugar, da-da-da. In the end, with Rimmer literally on the verge of being torn apart by these opposing forces, Merchant burns all of his records from his ancestor and uses a sci-fi surgery machine to give himself a lobotomy, destroying his memory and mind. The angels are satisfied he can no longer pass on his knowledge, and the Cenobites are disgusted that they are unable to elicit any kind of response from him through torture.
Because he's just a potato.
Yeah, to them he no longer even has a soul to claim. So both of them just leave them alone. So we fast forward to Rimmer visiting the disabled Merchant in a future psych ward sometime after the events. And she's unloading on him how crazy the whole thing was, as she literally has nobody else to talk to about it, who would understand.
Who would get it?
Yeah, and I mean, he's not really much help because he's a potato. She mentions she's starting to feel like herself again after so much exposure to their energies or whatnot. Some time has passed and she's recovering and she's going to move on. And when she leaves, we see the there's a piece of paper that Merchant was just like idly scribbling on, and he's not like even looking at it, like his hand's kind of moving on its own.
Yeah.
And we see that it's rudimentary designs that combine both the lament configuration overlaid with the Elysian configuration.
Ah,
credits.
Shit. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be rad. Yeah. I wish I'd put a little more effort. I spent all week trying to like salvage our last episode. And
it's a noble cause.
But man, yeah, I just love the idea of Hellraiser. I just think Clive Barker's rad.
It's a neat like lore thing. Anytime you get into this kind of like the hierarchy of hell and stuff, it's a neat concept. I've read a little bit more of his books and stuff. Like I think I mentioned in another podcast I read, there's a book where he actually kills off Pinhead. It's a bizarre chain of events where several other reoccurring characters of his kind of sojourn into hell and end up finding Lucifer. Pinhead takes Lucifer's armor and puts it on, which makes him the de facto leader of hell.
That's how that works.
in the lore of it, Pinhead is just he's the head priest of hell. And he's
Okay.
really the head priest of just the Cenobites. They're just like one type of demon.
They're like a sect.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of hell is more like traditional Christian hell, like fire and
they're like
stuff.
special forces of hell.
They're more like the weirdos on the hill of hell.
They're the goth kids of hell.
They're the Mormons of hell. Like they're this weird religious order that's like, no, it's all about psychosexual torture, you guys, for real. Seriously. Hey, I have some literature if you want to look it up. Like,
And then like the blue collar demons who's just over here with hot pokers, just
Like,
the
we're not-
traditional shit, you know?
we don't talk to those guys.
Yeah.
But they have like power and some level of power and authority. That's how they wield it. Obviously Pinhead is shown to have some degree of ambition to actually rule all of hell and essentially make it all kind of Cenobites all the time.
Right.
And then Lucifer, because it's this whole thing, like Lucifer as the like king of hell can't actually die. So when they find him, he's just like trapped in this kind of contraption that just makes him suffer eternally. And when he sees Pinhead fucking shit up and ruling over hell, he gets angry, pops himself out of his whatever, and just kills him. He just kills him. And then hell collapses and stuff. It's weird. It's an okay novel. Like the whole thing of them just walking around hell and the geography of it and everything, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's neat stuff. Like I said, like I'm just hardcore all about that weird lore deep dive shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
give me the facts and figures. And Hellraiser does a great job at hinting at a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, the labyrinth and everything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, it
Hellraiser
was just
4.
always the first Hellraiser is, pretty groundbreaking, I think. It's
Oh yeah.
It's a hell of a movie. And if I'm not mistaken, he got to direct and write it himself. Like
I
Clive
believe so.
Barker made that movie,
Yeah.
having not ever made a movie. He didn't really know.
And like I said, it wasn't hard for him. Like the original novella is kind of just like that perfect length that it's just like a 90-minute runtime
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
act it out. So it works really well. And then they did the second one, and it bites right off of the first one really well, expands the world a little bit, does everything a sequel's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's a fun series. I believe this is a decent addition to the series, just because it gives us a little bit of background lore again into like a single Cenobite in her history. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that it's supposed to kill off Pinhead or whatever, it's good stuff. It gives us the history of the lament configuration and the puzzle box and stuff, which is
Right.
important. Because it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense otherwise.
So I think the Judgment one shows a lot more of the hell stuff. Like
Oh,
I've
that's
seen
cool.
I've seen clips,
Yeah.
but I know there's like a part where someone's sitting with an assessor, like basically like, this is all the evil shit you did.
Yeah.
Like there's a bureaucratic process in hell, and it shows that.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Where else would there be one?
Of course there is.
Of course there is. There's lines and forms.
Yeah.
Of course.
But yeah,
Oh
I
my
want
God.
to dig into more of the movies. I want to go back and rewatch the early ones.
For sure,
But
we'll have
it's-
to.
I like that. Yeah, this one obviously wasn't the best, but it kicked all the rest of them straight to DVD.
Yeah.
But they still made 6 of them, so they're still making money off Hellraiser. I mean, sure, they probably did some of it to keep the rights, but people love this franchise.
I mean, the big offensive part of as far as it not looking like a theatrical release is the fact that it's a theatrical release. If this was a direct-to-video movie, I would just be like, cool, that's what it should be.
Exactly.
That's good for that, It's when you start expecting people to spend, $8 or however much it was back then to sit down and watch it. That's where it gets I get a little pissy. But it's, other than that, there's some things that about it led to like, it's the time period, the mid 90s.
Right.
That's the soundtrack you're going to have.
Of course.
Those are the graphics you're going to have. Those are the visuals you're going to have.
You're only getting $4 million to do this thing. And the original idea was very big.
Right.
And apparently the original script, like the very first approved script for this movie, was one of the best Hellraiser scripts in the series.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
big
I mean,
words.
but, it was Clive Barker trying to take his baby in a little bit new direction, trying to do
Sure.
put a new spin on it. And he was deeply involved in coming up with how to do that, but then he wasn't making it,
Yeah.
and nobody had enough faith in the franchise, I guess, to invest in the full vision.
That's a shame. Still,
And then they were afraid that what they got wasn't marketable enough, so they hacked it up and rearranged it and restructured it and wrote and shot new parts.
yeah.
Like originally, the plans for the Lament configuration were supposed to come from Hell,
Oh.
but
makes
they
sense.
just kind of blow past that the Duke guy gave the plans to Marchand
Yeah.
to execute. And
Right.
they don't really tell you where you got them, but I think Angelique was supposed to be summoned and then give the plans. Like, she's supposed to be summoned. That whole
Ah.
ceremony thing was to summon her, but it just pulled a demon. It didn't open the door like it does
Right.
for Pinhead.
And even that was like kind of pseudo summoning a demon because you already had to have like a
Yeah.
skin of an unbaptized woman for
Yeah,
there
that
to
was
her to
blood
kill.
magic,
Right.
to get her out. And then she would have brought the plan that he gave.
That would
And then there
actually
would
make
have been
way more
cool,
sense.
like, Cenobite-ish shit in the past, too, where she, like, turned a few people into, Cenobite servants of her own on Earth.
Yeah.
There were all of these things that were supposed to go on, and then it was supposed to play out chronologically. And anyway, it's
Eh.
Alien 3, it's Mimic, it's
Yeah.
the director does what he thinks is best, and the studio gets cold feet and chops it to pieces to the point that he doesn't even want to be involved anymore.
Yeah, so it goes. Still not a bad watch, a fun
No.
watch certainly. And I think if you're gonna watch the Hellraiser movies, it's definitely this is not the place to stop.
Oh
I
no.
think.
And it's kind of cool that, you get to number 4 and you get like a prequel, a sequel, and one right in the middle.
Yeah, you get the full set. Like I said, I think you feel that it wasn't intended to be structured that way because if it was, I think we would have gotten at least one more time period story in the interim to kind of
Yeah.
make that the mechanism of the story. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. Next time, though,
Next time.
we are diving headfirst back into the cheese.
Into the cheesiest, the granddaddy of in space franchise horror movies. It's not the earliest, but
It's
is
not
my
the
favorite.
earliest. It is. It is one of my favorites. Real sense of humor to it. Jason X.
Jason X. God, I love that movie. I will fight anybody that wants to about it because it's just so much fun.
It really is. It really is.
I'm excited to watch it again.
Me too. I can't wait to talk about it on the next episode of In the Veins. I've been Joe.
And I've been Chris.
This
We'll
has
see you
been
next time.
In
Wait, there we go.
There is nothing to worry about. You're gonna be just fine.
Be surprised at the things you find when you go looking.
God, it knows I'm here.
Clear your minds. It knows what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
I'm plunging headfirst into some kind of black void of sheer, utter madness.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
It is entitled Naturan de Manto, roughly translated Book of the Dead.
You're gonna die up there.
We've got to return some videotapes.